Second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
English, mother...
Body, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Let's put a smile on that face.
What's up, Hollywood homies? Welcome back to the film room. My name is Scott.
I'm Deion, what's up?
And today, we got something different for you. We just went to TIFF.
Yeah.
The Toronto International Film Festival. This was my first time going.
This was my third time going.
Third time
going.
So is it 3 years in a row? Like you went?
Yeah, first year was 2022. I went to 2023, and then this is my third time going.
So with this one, we went closing weekend.
Yeah.
Did you what was it like the other times? Like the experience overall?
I mean, it's everything is its own experience, and like as we're gonna get into, as it's like there's the opening weekend is its own experience in itself. There's like the midweek, there's the closing weekend. There's something called I almost called it March Madness. There's Midnight Madness, and then there's also like the shorts, which we didn't get to do this year because we were looking at the shorts. It's one of those things too, where it's like if they don't interest you, I don't want to go. So we didn't go, and then the timing didn't work out with the one that we did want to go to. But all those are his own experience in itself. So you got to experience the closing weekend.
Yeah, it was a little like when I come back again.
Yeah,
I would do the opening week.
Yeah,
ideally.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it depends on what's going on, like what schedule wise, but like because I mean, as you know, obviously, like we showed up.
Yeah,
and the street was open.
Yeah,
so like there were cars on the street. It kind of just felt like I just went and saw a couple movies.
Yeah,
which like it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
like I still saw a couple good, cool movies.
So for sure,
there was still lots of people around.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like the overall experience, I was expecting more of like more of a festival feel, like more just stuff happening, more people around, and. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just because it was because we read about it, like the sign, the TIFF sign, and the closing the street. That's only the first week. So.
Yeah, and that was part of my thing too. Like when you bought the tickets for the two movies that we saw, and I was realizing that I wasn't 100% sure about if the TIFF sign was going to be there or not. But I was like, in my head, I was like, he's not going to get the full TIFF experience. He's still going to get to see some movies that maybe he would have never got to see.
Yeah,
so that's cool in itself. You kind of got to see a little bit of the environment, but there is so much more. It's not a bad thing. You kind of got a taste of it, and it's making you want more,
True.
Which is a good thing,
yeah.
Right? And then trust me, there is a lot more to it because like even like there's little things like you said, you want to feel more of like a festival, and we didn't get too much of a street stuff besides like the one guy that we saw. That had nothing to even do with the festival.
Which guy?
The guy that was like, I don't want to waste any of your time.
Oh, that guy. That guy, he said he didn't want to waste our time, proceeded to waste all of our time.
Yeah, so it's just a quick story, just a quick anecdote. Like we were walking, like you walk the streets of any like busy city, Toronto. We were walking the streets of Toronto, and this guy was basically he was I don't know what was his claim, like what was the whole thing? It was just about helping kids.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was getting education to kids that don't have access to education.
Okay, yeah, and we were like, fuck them kids. And no.
Maybe if he got to the point,
yeah. The main issue was one of those things where you get those people that's like, hey, you guys look. It's just like he's breaking us down. Like you guys look like this. You guys look young. Whatever it is. Like, oh, are you working? Do you go to school? Okay, I don't want to waste your time. And then proceeds to not talk about what actually the program is and ask us more questions about what we do. And he's like, I don't want to waste your time. And then proceeds to go on more.
Continue, just wouldn't stop. And I was like, dude, tell me what you want. Give me a link. Ask me for money.
That's
do
what I'm
something.
saying. Like I didn't know if it was like, are you selling me something?
Yeah.
You want me to sign up for something? Like get to the point. Like I respect the whole art of the sale. Like at least tell me what it is first before like, hey, sign up for this. At least tell me what it is. I want to know what it is. But he just was so long-winded.
He did say after he was nervous.
Yeah, which is
so
fair.
It might have been like his first day or something.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
I feel like you got to help those people out though. Like I've worked in sales before. I worked in shout out Cutco. I don't know if you ever heard of Cutco.
That was like it was like knives,
selling
and shit.
Knives. Yeah. And it's like they give you a script. Like I feel like anything where you're selling something, I assume the company gives you some kind of script as like a base to go off of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This guy was all over the place. He had no base.
I feel like maybe he had it because once he started actually talking about the schools, he was actually like maybe that was what they taught him, and they were like, maybe try and relate to the people, try and become more personal with
Yeah.
them. But he just took that a little too
No,
far, I
he
think.
took it way too far.
Because he was like, you guys are maybe a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, chill.
Yeah.
Second of all, like, I don't care. Like, he asked each one of us how old we
Yeah.
are, us and our girls,
Yeah.
and what we did for work. Like, you're in
Yeah.
school, like all this. I was like, you don't need to know all this,
No,
dude.
I get you're trying to be personable.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to be like, let's connect as humans first. I don't want to just
Right.
be like the salesy person, which is what you should do. You try to connect where I walk. How about ask us about movies? Maybe
True.
people are walking
good
movie
point.
festival. Throw a movie thing in there. Why are people walking these streets right now?
Yeah.
Because it's a movie festival. You didn't even ask us about anything about that. Oh, you guys going to see any cool movies? Whatever.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he didn't know there was a festival going on. It's pretty apparent if you walk down that street.
Well, like I said, they took all that stuff away. Like,
I get, but all the red carpet stuff was still
that's
up
true.
and all that stuff.
That's
You know
true.
what I mean? And then again, we're going to. I don't want to not a tangent. It's still part of the whole festival.
We're talking about the overall experience.
Yeah, the whole
here.
overall
It's fine, it's
experience.
fine.
But that's part of my thing where I'm saying that, like, depending which day you're going, maybe you'll see like a red carpet. I was telling him that one day I left out of a movie and like the streets were like flooded. And I was like, what the hell's going on? I was trying to get out of the building, and someone was like, no, one of the security guys, oh, you can't go this way. Like the street's blocked off. I was like, what's going on? And then I was like, I see all these girls. I'm like, what is it, like some kind of like pop singer? Because Taylor Swift was there that weekend, but it wasn't her. They're like, oh no, it's Harry Styles. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like Harry Styles just shut down the whole street, and it's just like, not saying that would have been a great experience for you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, just seeing a celebrity would
Yeah.
be cool. Like,
Oh,
I didn't
sure.
really see. Well, we saw Jay Onright from Sports Center.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that wasn't even at TIFF. That was just walking around. But we were like,
Yeah.
holy shit, he's tall.
Yeah, tall as fuck.
If you're Canadian, you know TSN.
Yeah.
And Jay Onright, the legendary like broadcaster and anchor. Yeah, we saw him. He's tall as hell.
Tall as hell. This dude could have played in the league.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm assuming he could have played. Maybe he was an athlete. I'm assuming he must have been an athlete
Yeah.
before or something like that. But yeah, you didn't get to.
Like, I didn't see any director. Like,
No,
I
I
know,
didn't
like,
see-
maybe
yeah,
earlier
that's
in the
true.
week, like at more the premieres.
Yeah,
If it's the first time,
yeah.
then the directors are there, or
Yeah.
maybe some of the cast, or
No, it's
and
true.
there's Q&As and stuff. Like, you've done that before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I didn't get to ask any questions. I wanted to, but there's only so many questions.
Yeah, you just put your hand
You
up.
just put your hand up, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they catch you, they'll point at you and you ask. You know what's one thing I was thinking of too? That was kind of funny. I don't know why this came to my mind, because not every movie's good, right?
Right.
And let's say like for example, like you watched a movie, you didn't like it, and you haven't asked a question to ask. I always wonder is anyone ever brave enough to be like, I didn't like
it. Why did you do this?
Yeah, or characters there. I was like, why did you do that in that scene? I feel like it didn't make. I've never seen anyone have that balls. I wonder if it's ever happened.
I'm sure it's happened. It has to have happened.
I feel like a critic, maybe like you, because critics, like I feel like they have no chill. They can just completely bash a movie. But just like a regular, like just like a fan, someone that paid a ticket just to go to the movie, it seems wild to imagine someone just tear apart.
Well, I mean, you don't have to tear it apart, but
Yeah.
you could be like, oh, I feel like it was. I don't know. It wasn't great the way you filmed this, or I didn't like that so much. How come you didn't do that? You don't have to say like this movie sucked.
No, that's true. That's true.
What the hell were you thinking? Because that's not even a good question.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So overall, I guess like atmosphere, like you got to, because we saw it in a Cineplex. I guess there's also that too. But did you like the Cineplex? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a regular movie
Yeah.
theater. Like it was a little different because they had like the volunteers around, like
Yeah.
directing people,
Mhm.
and there was like the big lineups outside for the
Yeah.
rush,
Mhm.
which was crazy. By
Yeah,
the
the
way.
rush. Yeah, going
So
on.
there's a lineup around the block
Yeah.
for a rush ticket. So it's basically if you don't have a ticket, or I think you can get a rush pass.
Yeah.
Eloise was saying.
Yeah,
So
you can pre-rush pass.
like 10 or 15 minutes before this movie starts,
Mhm.
they go around, and if there's empty seats, then the rush people can get in.
Yeah.
But we were talking, and like I said, around the block,
Yeah.
there can't be that many people that don't show up to these movies.
No. And even in the movie that we were in, we saw empty seats, and we're like, "Oh, so much for the rush."
Seriously, yeah.
It's like, when are these people gonna? When are they doing this?
The movie's starting.
Yeah, the movie's starting. I'm seeing a couple empty seats. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know what? It's funny until that moment, because like I said, this is my third time going. It wasn't until I realized I was like, I kind of always forget about this rush line. I'm like, it's wildness to me.
Yeah.
Why? Like, you don't have anything better to do for your day? Just go buy a ticket.
Yeah, they're not that crazy.
Yeah, like I want, like, and be real with yourself. You buy a rush pass, you don't want to see every movie. You're narrowing it. There's over like 200 movies. You probably want to see maybe
half of them.
Half of them. I don't even if
Maybe.
that's a lot of research to even look at all
True.
those movies.
Yeah.
Like for you, it was actually I think this is better for you because how much is a headache of like, okay, I only can watch the movies in this weekend anyway.
Right.
Versus like, okay, which movies in these 10 days
Yeah.
don't want to watch? Literally, you're picking like out of 210 movies, shorts, documentaries. It's like which ones do I want to watch? And there's also not even there's Q&As. Like sometimes there's literally just events where it's oh, we're gonna talk to Tom Hanks. Show up at this time. We're gonna talk to Tom Hanks. We're gonna ask him questions. It's gonna be a little bit about the movie that's coming up, and then people might ask him, "Hey, just about his career and stuff like that."
Yeah.
And those have those little things. Sometimes maybe Oprah will be there, and she'll be like, "Oh, this is why we should support black cinema stuff like." There's like different conversations, like panels, basically.
Right.
It's like, oh, we have this person, and we're gonna talk about Canadian film or whatever, and how we should put more money in, like just like stuff like that. There's just so many little things like that where it can be overwhelming. It's like, what do I choose?
Yeah.
It's like the Netflix scroll or any kind of screen. Like, what should I watch? And you just
scroll forever because you can't decide.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay for that?
For
like
what?
a Q&A? It's like it's buying a ticket. Same thing.
I think it's the same thing.
You've never gone to one?
I've never gone to one. Yeah, because again, I try to like spread it out where it's just like I try different things every single year, and it gets pricey. Those things are cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
if the more you do.
Yeah, and the bigger the person. Like those people I was named, like Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
and Oprah.
yeah.
The Tom Hanks one wasn't real, but there actually was like a thing with Oprah,
Okay.
and it's also sold out too. People want to see Oprah. She's like one of the best talkers of all time.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention was just access to tickets.
Yeah.
Like for us, just like public.
Yeah.
You know, by the time when we went to get tickets, it was like hell.
Oh yeah.
Like because if you don't know, you know, before the tickets come to the public, there's TIFF members, there's pass holders, media, press. They all get their chance to buy the tickets first. So by the time it gets to the public, we were on there right as the tickets came out. We opened this up, sold out. Open this one up, sold out. And like, because we went beforehand, like you said, I went through all the movies that I could watch.
Yeah.
Made a list of the ones that interested me. I kind of made an extra list of the ones that were most interesting to me.
You put a little star next.
Yeah,
to it.
exactly. Yeah. So you're right. That helped in like already narrowing it down. But then when it came time to get tickets, it was a mess. It was trying to find tickets, and for four of us trying to at least get them together. I mean, it worked out. We got tickets to two movies that I was looking forward to seeing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's for just trying to get tickets as a member of the public is tough.
Yeah, and I get it. It's like trying to get tickets is like a shoe drop, basically,
Yeah,
man. It's like first come first serve, or if it's like a popular ticket, like if it's like a Taylor Swift or something, it's like, bro, if you're not in there in those first couple of things, you're done.
Yep.
And the only thing that's left over, it's not like I shouldn't say there's no bad movies at TIFF because there's bad movies, and everything's subjective, honestly. So I can't even say you can't really say that in general, but it's tough because the most wanted movies, like the movies that have the big, like the names, those are usually going first, or it's like the director or whatever it is, those go first. And that's not the worst thing, because I remember that happened to me the first year where I was bummed. I was like, man, I wanted to see like at the time it was Glass Onion. It's like it was a sequel to Knives Out. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see, there's a couple, I can't remember all the movies, but there's a couple movies that are actually like big movies that were gonna be out in theater. But I was like, oh, it could be cool to see them before everybody else, kind of thing. Get to see it at the festival. But those movies obviously always go first because everyone wants to see those.
And also the ones that like did well in previous festivals.
Exactly. So
like one of the ones that I wanted to see here was I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't because it wasn't playing this weekend. But like you would have possibly been able to. But I'm sure I didn't even look. But I'm sure it sold out instantly. Yeah, it's called Honora. It's about a young sex worker in New York City who marries the son of a Russian digarch. It's basically a ruler, like a business ruler. I looked it up. Because I had no idea what that means.
Just fair, right?
But yeah, I won the Palme d'Or, which is the highest prize for the best feature at the Cannes Film Festival. And there was a few other ones, and I've heard tons about it, and it just has a lot of hype around it. So I'm sure it's sold out
100%.
super fast.
And that was one of the things, like because I was looking into like possible movies that might be at TIFF before the list even dropped, and they said that movie, like Honora, and they talked about, they said the Joker was going to be there too,
The
But
sequel?
yeah, and I think they might have pulled out last minute just because critics were already kind of ripping it. And I don't care what the critics say. I'm still gonna go. We're gonna still see the movie and we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll like it. Maybe we'll hate it. Who knows? We'll
We're
only
gonna
find
find
out once
out.
we see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they were just like, and the critics are tearing this up. Let's just let the fans like watch it and then we'll go from there. Because again, it happens all the time. Critics, whatever happens with critics, doesn't necessarily mean what the fans are gonna think. There's a couple Tarantino movies that didn't that some like Pulp Fiction ate up at all the festivals, but I think a couple of the other movies there were people were kind of like on them, and then fans love them. So it's like you don't really know, and it's mostly because his movies are pretty violent too. Sometimes you don't know what kind of crowd you're getting. Maybe they want to watch. Maybe like us. Maybe they're watching at 9 a.m. and then someone's getting
Yeah,
fucking
that was pretty
tortured or something,
crazy.
and it's like, oh man, what is this? This isn't a cinema. This is just gore or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
When he has some unique ones too.
No,
Like
he does.
he just his style is very unique. I mean, that's why he's so compelling and
Yeah.
like so many people and popular,
No, for
right?
sure.
Because he does things differently
Yeah.
and he's done things like he pays homage to old stuff a lot, which is really
Yeah.
cool. Just the way he does things. I mean, he's a great director, but like having something like doing something a little bit outside the box usually means that people will either love it or hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really much of an in between.
Yeah, and you don't want to be in between. I mean, well, if everybody loves it, you're not mad at that.
You're an
But,
Orlando
yeah.
Magic fan. You're
What?
always in between.
Yeah, that's true.
Middle of the podcast.
This is true. This is true. But yes, I did want to see that team. I mean that team.
That
You got me
team?
talking about it. You got me looking this up. As I'm wearing a Heat jersey, still talking about Orlando Magic. It's a LeBron thing. I'm not a Heat fan. Actually, I don't even see my jersey. Yeah, my laptop's in the way. But yeah, I wanted to see a Nora too, but again, like we were talking about, everything was sold. I didn't have the best luck. The movies we ended up seeing, I like that we saw them. I was interested in seeing them. All the movies I wanted to see were just sold out, and then when they had another showing, it just didn't work out.
Right.
It's just like, oh, you can't. The times don't work out wherever it is.
You have
The
other
seats
stuff
and
going
shit.
on.
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
Like that.
Right. So it's just like shit.
So there was
Not
one
that
other
cool.
movie that I was really excited about, and I know you were too. And
Yeah.
I just before we get to the movies that we did see,
Yeah.
was Harbin.
Yeah.
So this movie follows Korean activists who fight the Japanese for their country's independence.
Yeah.
This was period piece two's old. I don't know exactly what the years it was set.
Yeah.
But I watched a trailer for it. I know you're not a trailer guy, but
Yeah.
based on the description, it looked amazing,
Mhm.
and there was apparently a lot of hype for it too. Because
Yeah.
as soon as I opened it, not a
Yeah,
single
gone.
nothing.
Gone. It was that movie and Conclave were movies
Conclave,
that Eloise
too.
was really hyped for. And like at first I was like, okay, like because again, it's one of those things where it's like when you go into your search for TIFF, it's like its own thing. Like you kind of have to like you can look at every single movie, or it's like, all right, let me just try to filter it out. Like there's westerns, they have directed by a Canadian, directed by a black person, whatever. I started filtering stuff just as I'm like, otherwise it just looks too intimidating.
It's too much, yeah.
So the movies that she even saw, I didn't even catch my radar because I was like, let me just filter. Let me look at like thrillers. I want to see some of these, some mystery movies. Because I didn't see that last time. So when she brought those movies up to me, I was like, okay. I was like, a movie about a pope, it's like whatever. But then I actually watched the trailer for it. I was like, okay, that's just kind of hard. I think it's gonna be it seems like it's gonna be just because it was in it, like one of those awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna
movies.
say like it's the cast. I feel
Yeah.
like helps that movie, like because you were
Yeah.
saying that before too. If there's big names in it,
Yeah,
then people are gonna want to see it. Like Ray
Exactly.
Fiennes, Stanley Tucci. This
yeah,
is
exactly.
just those two alone, and apparently Ray Fiennes is really good in it.
Oh, really?
That's what I've heard.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Obviously,
I'm
we
not
didn't watch it.
surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He's a great actor.
Yeah,
And then Harbin, I was like, oh, I'm always interested to see like an international film, especially when there's hype around it too, because it's like, okay, let's see what this is. There was a couple other movies. I forget the name of the other movie that there was some hype around, but they're on my watch list, so they'll be watched.
yeah. We'll watch them when
Yeah.
when we can.
Yeah, exactly.
And Harbin, like you said, international films, like international movies that get hype, I find are always good. I
Yeah.
always like them because like not local, but like American movies, they can get hype around them because tons of people are going to watch them.
Yeah.
And you'll have some people that love it and people will hype it. And then sometimes you watch it and be like, I don't,
Yeah.
it's not that great. But if it's an international movie and it gets hype over here, that just means it's good. Like
Yeah.
there's so many international movies that don't get hype and they're really good.
Yeah.
So that the ones that do
Yeah.
are just they're always good.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to pay attention because it's like, okay, what's going on here?
It
Because this is,
excites
like,
me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I think there's something else too with foreign films where it's like it just feels so fresh. Because like I don't think I don't have like a movie fatigue to anything. I can watch. There's still I don't have a fatigue with any genre currently. Where it's like, okay, I've seen enough of these movies. I know how they go. I don't need to watch it. Like, like there's still fresh things that can happen, and there's still classic movies that I haven't seen. But what I find with foreign films is that it's so fresh because one, you're hearing a different language, and then two, it's a culture that you're usually not familiar with. So I can keep watching Korean films, and there's these little cultural things that I just wouldn't understand or don't know. Where it's just like, oh, this is intriguing to me because like I don't know nothing about what it's like to grow up in Seoul. So everything I'm seeing is just so fresh. You know what I mean? Like everything's just so like, and certain things I guess maybe I could say I have fatigue with, like maybe like a movie about like, someone from New York. There's a lot of movies
There's
like that.
tons of them.
A lot of movies like that. And with the again, like use South Korea as an example, I feel like there's just so many different nuances and things I just wouldn't understand. But like, oh, that's a cool little thing. As it's going on throughout the movie and the story, it's just like, and they have different styles. Different places have different styles. The way they blend genres and stuff together. Even the way they shoot things is differently. So I'm always intrigued.
I think also their themes
Yeah,
are very different because,
that's
like
very
you
true.
said, culturally, things that are important to our culture
Yeah,
are not necessarily as important to them, and vice versa. Things that
yeah,
are really important to Asian or
yeah,
Korean culture isn't as emphasized in our
yeah,
culture. So those are themes that they explore that we
Mhm.
don't necessarily see or not as much in
Yeah,
movies. So like you said, if you talk about movie fatigue, like a kid from New York that wasn't supposed to make it and they
yeah,
made it.
yeah, yeah,
There's a billion of those
yeah.
movies, right?
No, for
Whereas
sure.
like in the South Korean, like in Parasite, we always talk about Parasite
Yeah,
like as a
yeah.
international movie,
Our
but
boy
like
JB.
our boy JB, exactly, exactly. But like the theme of class
Yeah,
and exploitation
yeah,
and like stuff like that we just
yeah.
don't see as much here,
No, for sure.
and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
fresh.
And it's just, and also like even if we see it here, seeing like the way classes shown in another country is also just gonna be completely different from the way
True.
we see it in like an American film or even a Canadian film. But it's just, yeah, it's just completely different. So it's
Yeah,
just like, yeah, I'm seeing something so different here, and it's really interesting just to see those themes, like you said, and just yeah, it's good.
it's good.
Yeah,
All right, so let's get to the movies that we
let's
did
get to
watch.
it.
So
Yeah,
we started with William Tell.
yeah,
This one, like you said, we saw it like 9:30.
yeah,
It's quite violent,
yeah,
and it starts violent
yeah,
with a pretty gruesome killing. We're not gonna go
yeah. We're gonna
super
spoil.
specific. There won't be any spoilers. So if you we're looking forward to watching these movies and you haven't yet, don't worry. You can keep listening. We're not gonna ruin it for you.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I've never watched a movie that early. I've
yeah.
never. Well, that's not true. Actually, I've done more recently. I've done some movie marathons.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
with
yeah.
some like we'll do Lord of the Rings. We just
Yeah, I
did the
remember you
Matrix.
guys. You
So you have
enjoyed.
to start early.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but like I've never
Extension of
gone
Lord
to
of
a
the
theater.
Rings.
Yeah, because we did the extended editions
Oh,
too, 12
jeez,
hours.
jeez.
So yeah, we had to
Real
start
one.
early.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah, I've never been to a theater that early.
Okay. I don't think that's true, but
No?
nah.
Why do you say that?
Didn't remember when we went to see high school when we went to see, was it Hunger Games? We went on a field trip. I
To see Hunger
swear.
Games?
Yeah, I swear.
I
Well,
don't
maybe
remember
you
that.
didn't go to that.
Maybe I will.
In English class, didn't you have to do like at English class we had, I don't know if it was Mr. Blackwell's class or whatever it is, but like we got to go on a field trip to go to see. You never had to do that in any of your classes where like your school brought you to the movie theaters to go see a movie? Never?
Never.
Damn, I thought you were part of that. Maybe I'm thinking of Jamari.
Maybe.
Okay.
So William Tell, directed by Nick Ham, who's an Irish director, and it's based on a Swiss folk tale.
Yeah.
And so a basic description is in 1300 Switzerland, like
Yeah.
in the year 1300, that's occupied by an overbearing Austrian king, and William Tell, having just returned from fighting in the Holy Land, leading the Swiss resistance
Yeah.
out of that. So what'd you think of the movie? I mean, we talked about it a little bit coming out, but
Yeah. So I liked the movie first of all. So like when we talk about the second movie, I'm gonna be more hesitant because I don't want to lead people anyway. I want them to still check out a movie, have opinion for yourself, right? Like I don't want people to listen to the podcast to be like, oh well, these guys said the movie's not good, so I'm gonna watch it. No, watch every even if we say we don't like a movie, you gotta watch it for
it's
yourself.
like we say about critics.
Yeah, exactly.
There's tons of critics that like a movie that I don't, or they hate a movie that
Yeah,
I
exactly.
thought was great, and Yeah, watch it
Exactly.
for yourself.
So
100%.
whether we say we like a movie or dislike a movie, we should watch it anyway. Maybe we'll say we'll hype a movie and you'll be like, that movie was trash.
Facts.
Comment, let us know, give us your opinion. And if we didn't like it and you liked it, give us your reasons, and maybe we'll think back to them like, maybe they're right.
True.
But as far as William Tell goes, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a really good movie. So it was actually, I had low expectations, and I actually exceeded the expectations of, because I didn't think it started off slow. Like we said, the opening scene, like you said, it was pretty violent, and I was like, okay, we're going somewhere. But as the movie started passing along, I didn't know what the tone of the movie was going to be, and I didn't really know what the story was going to lead to. Like I didn't know. Again, yeah, no, without saying too much, I just didn't. I wasn't 100% sure where it was leading us, and I thought it was just like a really exciting journey. I was interested in all the characters. I was interested in them,
Yeah.
and I cared about them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like I feel like they made you care about the characters because we got enough of them. We didn't need these crazy long backstories for each one of them and all their needs and wants. But even in the limited stuff that they gave us, I feel like we knew. Okay, I know what this character wants. I
Right.
understand.
I know
This
why
person's
he's here.
purpose. Yeah,
I
exactly,
understand why he wants to fight
exactly,
against the occupation.
exactly.
But I think you're right. They did a good job with the characters, making us care about the characters. And I think that was cool the way they did it because as like when Tell starts his journey, right, and it's him and one guy,
Yeah.
and then he picks up this other guy and
Mm.
grabs him as an ally,
Yeah.
and then they meet another dude and bring him in. So like as they're he's building up all of his allies, and each one gets their own scene
Yeah.
of how they get in. So that's why, like you said, we understand how he joined the team, why he wants to fight or
Mm.
doesn't want to fight, whatever,
Yeah.
however things go. But I also really liked how there's almost like two climaxes
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
movie. Like the
Yeah, yeah.
one, like it opens. This is not a spoiler, but it opens with a shot of him raising a bow to
Yeah.
a boy
Yeah.
with an apple on his head,
Mhm.
and then it says 3 days earlier. So,
Yeah.
and then when we get to that scene when he has the bow and the apple and everything,
Mhm.
great scene, great
Yeah.
climax.
Mhm.
And then, but it's like halfway through the movie,
Yeah, it's
and
true.
then there's the whole climax at
Yeah,
the end of the
no, that's
movie.
true.
That I thought that was really cool.
No, that is a really good point too. Yeah, because like, and I like when movies do that. I've always, I don't think it you don't always need it, and I don't think that it necessarily always makes a movie good when they kind of play around with timelines of movies. If you use it well, it can be a great added thing. That sometimes a movie doesn't need it. It's like, okay, that's like a cool concept. You still could have done it, but I like the way they did it in this because it's like, okay, and it's interesting too the way they did it like that because usually I feel like they do that when it's like, okay, we know the way the movie's gonna go on for a bit. There's not gonna be too much action. There's not gonna be too much suspense. So here we'll give you this, so you know that we're gonna be
It's
leading
coming.
to this.
Yeah.
But then the beginning of the movie was still intense.
Yeah.
So we didn't like. I thought that was interesting how they're like, oh no, here's this, and I was like, okay, so the movie's gonna be like maybe it's gonna be a lot of talking for a bit, and it's gonna build up. But no, we got right into it.
Yeah.
Basically right after that too. So I was like, oh, it's an interesting choice, and it worked because it got me thinking. I actually forgot about it for a little bit. Like that was gonna happen.
That
Yeah.
apple scene was incredible.
Yeah, it
That
was
was
good.
that would have been my best scene.
Oh,
I
true.
mean, we talked about this after too.
Yeah.
Like I can't watch a movie now
Yeah.
without looking for awards.
Yeah, and
you
you look
know?
at our girls now. Either.
Yeah.
They're trying to, like, what was your pitch?
Yeah, we came out of the theater and Alexa's like, "Oh, I like this guy with
Yeah.
the uncle with the jacket and the fur."
Yeah.
That would have been my fit check. I was like, "We've turned them. It's great."
Hopefully, we've turned you too.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
hopefully you guys are-
hopefully you're watching a movie. Be like, that's my fit check.
That's my fit
favorite
check.
quote.
Oh, that was lazy as shit.
Yeah.
What are they doing here? But that scene's incredible.
Yeah.
But I mean, the with each character, like I said, like when we get a piece of each one,
Yeah.
sometimes it is like talking and it's exposition, but like they build suspense really well, and because like we see them, they're not doing this. It's not like they're separate.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like the Austrians are always in and out,
Yeah.
because they're occupying Switzerland, right?
Mhm.
So like their army and their leaders are there, so they
Yeah.
kind of do this out in the open at some points. At some
Mhm.
points they're hidden.
Yeah.
So this it's really suspenseful, right?
No, for
When they
sure.
have to do this with the army still there.
Yeah.
You're like, how are they going to do this? Are they going to find out? Blah blah blah. So like,
No, I agree. It is
kept
really
me on my
interesting.
toes.
No, for sure. Yeah, it definitely was. That's a good point. I didn't even think about it that where it's like, yeah, they had definitely they didn't have them just like separate where it's like we see them, we see them, we see them, we see. It's like there was so much intertwining
Right.
of the characters, and it kept it exciting because every scene you're kind of wondering, who's gonna be safe. Like, oh, like you don't it's not one of those movies where, again, without saying too much spoilers, where you're like, like you all your characters are safe. Like,
Right.
no everyone's fair game. You should worry about your characters. Like, is my character gonna be safe?
Yeah.
Is my character gonna be safe? So it does keep you on your toes in that sense. Because again, if it had them separate, you're like, oh, they're cool. Everyone's just plotting. Everyone's fine. Everyone's safe until the battle. But no, not everyone's safe until like things starts getting like heating up. So
Exactly.
it definitely does keep you on your
Because if
toes.
you do it like that, like you said, you kind of be disconnected through like 3/4 of the movie until we get to like our climax at the end where they start fighting each other.
No,
That's
sure.
not what this is. So
No.
I was engaged front to back. I really enjoyed it as well. I mean, if you can't tell, but it had, so Clay's Bong is the lead. He plays William Tell. There was also, I wrote down Sir Ben Kingsley, who played the Austrian king.
Yeah.
I also didn't know he was a sir.
Yeah, neither did I.
I don't know. It said Sir Ben Kingsley. I was like, okay, nice work, Ben Kingsley. And then the other one I wrote down was Ellie Bamber, who played Bertha, who's the king's niece.
Yeah.
And the reason I wrote her down because I thought she was great.
Yeah,
I thought she was really. I mean, you talked about like the intertwining characters, and there is a lot of that, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But the fact that each character has different loyalties, like some of them are loyal to Austria, some of them are loyal to Switzerland, and then with the way they interact with each other, and she's in an interesting position because she kind of has both. Like, it's not a spoiler, but she is half Swiss and half Austrian.
Mm-hmm.
So she's the niece of the king. So she kind of has like playing both sides, and she was great.
No, she was really good. She was really, really great. And it's funny because I was talking about this before about like with movie fatigue and certain genres and stuff. And I don't think I had a fatigue to like royal, like king kind of stuff. But I think I lost interest from a bit from just watching. Maybe I was watching
Game
too
of
much
Thrones
of it
and stuff.
No, I didn't even watch Game of Thrones. I think there was something before. I can't even remember what I was watching before, but I don't know if I was just watching too much of just like royalty stuff. And I was like, I need to push back on it. I definitely had a fatigue with like, because I watched all of The Walking Dead. There's 11 seasons of that. So whenever like any kind of zombie or like something, I was like, I don't need to see that for now.
You got your fill.
Yeah, exactly. But this, it's fun. I feel like this actually finally will make me maybe watch Game of Thrones.
Really?
I've been putting it off forever.
Yeah,
just because I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it, but like this kind of be like, oh, I guess this can be interesting. And this is just like because we were saying this is almost like a TV show.
Yeah.
So when we were thinking that, I'm like, oh, well, Game of Thrones is a TV show.
Right. Exactly.
There's so many people
intertwining
watching,
characters.
I'm telling your ass to watch. I got so many people screaming at me to watch Game of Thrones.
I know, me too.
I'm like, I keep telling because they want to fight with me because I'm like, I was like, is it as good as Breaking Bad though? And they're like, yo, shut up, bro. Like, Breaking Bad's good, but Game of Thrones is like, it's crazy. But I'm like, but I heard it ends badly though. I was like, Breaking Bad doesn't end badly.
Right.
I was like, that's my mark of a show. If a show's already done, people are like, yeah, it's good, but it ends badly. I'm like, why would I want to watch the show then? I'm gonna watch.
Well, if 90% of it's good, it's still worth it. But I see what you're saying.
Though. Yeah, you know you're gonna leading up to something bad, and it's just like, I wish you didn't even tell me it ends badly. Just let me, maybe.
Right.
But again, like we talked about, maybe I don't think it ends badly. I gotta watch for myself.
No, I'm sure it'll end badly because I've heard no one say like, people say it ends bad, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty. Everyone says it ends badly.
It's tough to end the show.
Yeah, you're right.
It's tough to end the show,
especially one that people are so super invested in, like all the characters, and it's tough.
Dexter didn't end great either. That show's really good, but I'm getting on a tangent. But
yeah.
You want to get into the second movie?
Yeah.
Or even more to say about that?
Yeah, no. Unless you didn't have more, I was about to move on. So the second movie we saw was called The Quiet Ones. This was a Danish movie directed by Frederick Louis Vid.
Yeah.
Danish director. And it's the true story of Denmark's biggest ever robbery in 2008 that got over 10 million US.
Yeah.
Well, $10 million worth of Danish. I can't remember the currency.
Oh, I forget the currency too.
It starts with a K, I think, but it's worth over 10 million US in different cash currencies. So we saw this one in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So we took a break and then went to watch it. This one, I mean, as you kind of teased before, we weren't as big a fan.
Yeah, so I teased.
But it wasn't all bad.
No,
like it's not like at all the worst movie I've ever seen by any means. There was some good stuff I like about it, but
I think that's why that was my preface, like with saying that there's no bad movies at TIFF, because for the most part they like there won't like there's no B movies. Like I don't even know what a B like. There's no like low budget movie where it's like okay, I can see the guy standing in the back. Like there's no horribly constructed movies. Like they go through a process. Like movies get watched and they get picked, and they're liked by some people, which is like every movie. But they're for the most part there's always there's I guess controversial. It really just it depends like your taste of the movie. And to me, again, you walked out originally saying that like I don't know if I liked it. I said I had mixed feelings, but kind of go off of your feelings without spoiling it. Obviously,
Yeah, I mean, I, what the biggest thing that I had said immediately leaving was I felt like there was a whole lot of nothing almost.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
nothing felt consequential.
Yeah,
Nothing felt deep. There was one character, the main character, that we got a bit of his backstory on, that he was a boxer and he had a daughter, but there wasn't any big moment that made me feel like I should care about him specifically.
yeah,
I'm like, okay, he has a daughter and he's a boxer. But like if there was something with his daughter that, something that went really well or something that went really badly and that, caused him to get into this crime
yeah.
scene.
Mhm.
We didn't see any of that. We see him train a little bit of boxing. We don't even see a boxing match.
Yeah.
So there was a whole lot of like loose ends that they kind of left loose.
Yeah,
And then I feel like the heist itself was underwhelming. And at the end of it, I felt like, was that it?
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I just kind of felt the whole thing was underwhelming.
yeah. I feel like it was. I said I had mixed feelings because I liked a lot of the cinematography in it.
I
think
agree.
I think it was shot really
I agree.
well. There's I mean obviously you know it's about the biggest robbery, so you know that they robbed the place. We're talking about the robbery, but and this is a true story. I don't did we say that
Yep.
it was a true story?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, this is something that really happened, and I liked the way they shot like their getaway without giving too much detail. I think certain elements of the robbery were unique in the sense of like I've seen a lot of robbery movies and they all kind of go the same way. I think it was like you said, maybe it was dragged out a little bit in certain aspects, again without giving too much away. But I liked it wasn't really I'm trying to think if there was all humor in the movie. It was like
A
a
little
little bit of
bit.
dry humor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
crazy, but a little bit.
Yeah. I guess it's a very specific type of movie because again, I think it was kind of shot. I think I think their blueprint was like, okay, this is something that really happened. Let's get all the facts out. These are the things that really happened. Like there was this person, this person, this person, and I don't know. And I feel like it missed is like its own. I guess I don't know the tone. Like it didn't have to be lighter. It could have had the same kind of tone, but maybe they just could have given us more with the I guess the post robbery, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like there was so much. It was like build robbery, and then not much like the after, and it kind of felt like the end of the movie kind of got wrapped up really quickly. Where it's like, no, maybe make the robbery a little bit earlier, and like let's get a little bit more of like the after bit. You know, I say this from someone that watched Prison Break. Shout out to people that watched the show Prison Break. That was one of my favorite shows. That show didn't end badly. The one thing because everyone's like, oh, I always tell people like you want to watch Prison Break. Oh, let me guess, they break out. I'm like, yeah, they fucking break out of prison. But the first season is dope because it's the build of them breaking out of prison, and the second season I almost like more because the second season is like, all right, the guys are out.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing their individual stories, and it's like, who's gonna get caught? Who's gonna die? Who's gonna make it out? Who's gonna start doing more crime? It's like I like that aspect of it, and not every robbery movie needs that. Like we were saying, we don't need these specific things. Doesn't need to be Ocean's 11. Like we were saying, doesn't need to be that. But this movie, I was was like, okay, if you're gonna give us all this, and we're kind of gonna get to know these characters, and I think it bothered me that we did get a little bit of like what's next, what's happening afterwards, but it was very small, and then it felt very abrupt. Of like, okay, yeah, that's how it ends. It's like, wait, what?
It's funny that you say that because I actually kind of feel the opposite.
Okay,
I feel like we should have got more before, and the robbery should have been kind of like the climax.
Okay,
because like you said, the end. Well, either or.
Yeah,
I feel like because like you said, afterwards we get a little bit of kind of what goes on after, but not enough. Honestly, they could have. I feel like that all could have been scrapped. Maybe you see a couple things of him, with our main guy, especially because we got that stuff before him. So we kind of like to see how it worked for him afterwards.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff I feel like didn't really do much.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you get rid of that, have the robbery as your climax, and then we get more of the planning and the build up, because I feel like it would be a little more similar maybe to the Ocean's 11 in that style, but it wouldn't be in tone. And you mentioned tone, and like having it lighter, that's what Ocean's 11 is. That's a light tone. It's funny. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
So
You got
but
freaking Bernie Mac.
exactly, yeah. So this one, like Matt Damon's cracking jokes,
exactly.
and that. But this one, it, like we said, it's a true story. So it's something that actually happened. So we want it to feel real.
Yeah.
So I like that they kept
exactly.
that tone, but early on, like they kind of they start saying, okay, let's get set up, let's start planning, and then we kind of jump to like a day before, and they're like, okay, you know what you're doing, right? You're going here, you're going there. This is what's happening. We didn't get any lead up of how they assembled the team, or how they came up with the plan. Like we got a slight hint of how they came up with the plan.
Yeah.
But I feel like we could have got more of that.
Yeah. No, it's for sure. And I think that comes from just because who was the director? Where is he from again?
Denmark.
He's from Denmark. Okay, so I think that I think and shout out to Eloise too, because she kind of was making the point too, where it's not so much these movies where like, oh, I think we didn't get it, but we were talking about this even with South Korean movies, where different cultures have different tones and expectations of what a film should be.
Yeah.
So like in Denmark, people might love this movie.
Yeah.
And like the guy that watched it, he's like, oh, this is what a Denmark film is. Like this is how they do their styles of kind of movie. And like again, not every place they don't all make their movies carbon copy the same way.
Right.
But there's definitely certain styles. Like we went to go see this what was it? I think it was a Swedish movie. Like a Swedish comedy movie. And like when you think about comedy movies, for example, like this is a perfect example actually. Think of like a black comedy.
Yeah.
Then you got a Swedish comedy, a Korean comedy, or just like a American Pie comedy. These are all different kind of comedy. You know what I mean? And and I think that's in there, says like this is like what a robbery movie for that, where in Sweden would be like, versus like this American one would be like, or this is what a Korean one, like they'll have different styles like that. And again, I don't want to put this style on every single Sweden movie, because maybe this is just something he was trying out with, this is something he played with. But I guess just for us, it just didn't connect.
Yeah, I think
in the way the story was structured.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you're right, but I think if you did it either the way you mentioned with more after, or the way I mentioned with more before, it puts less pressure on the robbery itself to be a big, amazing, huge thing. Right? Because then you're engaged before or after, like either way that you do it, right? You're thinking about how they set it up, like all that planning and everything is what's keeping you locked in.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I wasn't locked in. Like when I was following our main character's like personal side, I was like, okay, it's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get any setup, so I was like, okay, well, here's the robbery. It better be good.
Yeah.
Because I've been waiting for it, and it hasn't been great so far, so I'm expecting this to be good. And I found it underwhelming. Like it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
We both mentioned there was some stuff that we liked about it, like in the car.
Yeah.
Like the way they shot that stuff was really cool. But or if you have all the stuff after, then you have, the robbery is the robbery, and then there's all of this story afterwards. But I feel like, especially because it's a true story, we know it's the biggest heist in history. So we know that they pull it off.
Yeah.
So like during the heist itself, they try to feel like build suspense. When stuff starts going wrong, like I don't want to spoil anything, but stuff starts going wrong, and then it's like, oh, is it gonna work? Is it like we know it's gonna work?
Yeah.
So that doesn't work in this context, you know?
And maybe that's why he didn't want to put too much emphasis on the robbery, because he's like, well, everyone knows.
But then why spend so much time with it?
No, that's true. No, it's true. And again, like watch the movie. You go watch the movie for yourself and have your own opinions on it. Maybe you'll have a completely different thought on it. It's definitely, I don't want to say it's art house style. I think it leans towards art house style of like heavy. I shouldn't say heavy, but it's very cinematography focused. Story, maybe the story could have added more to it, because again, it's a real life thing, so there's so much you can add to it. And But I don't know. Again, everyone has their own style. Maybe
Yeah.
they had their own direction they want to go with it. We're also saying the director too, but there's also the person that wrote it too. I don't know if it's the same guy that wrote it. Is it?
I don't know. I
Okay,
actually
yeah.
don't know.
So like maybe he's just going off the writer, and they kind of go back and forth again. But producer, I was.
Yeah,
I'm Mr. Benefit of the doubt
yeah.
over here.
I mean, yeah. I'm not specifically blaming the
No, for
director. I'm
sure.
just saying what I
Yeah.
liked and didn't like about the
No, for
movie.
sure. That's what we do.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
exactly.
Yeah. So again, go check out the movie. Go check out William Tell. Go check out The Quiet
Yeah.
Ones. Do you have the dates when they come out?
No, I
I
looked.
do not
I
either.
have. I don't even know.
Yeah. So the
I
thing is, they don't. Not all the time the official release dates are even out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just literally just show the time they come out at festivals, and then because sometimes they haven't decided when they want the movie to come out.
Yeah, I think
So,
sometimes it'll depend on how it did at the festival.
Exactly.
Like they'll be like, okay, people love this, let's get it out.
Yeah.
Or they're like, people didn't love it, too much.
Just try to sell it to a streamer.
Yeah, maybe maybe let's not go to a theaters
Yeah.
or a more limited release, or
Yeah.
like you said, try sell it to a streamer or something. But they use this to kind of form their strategy moving forward. So we'll see. But if you guys get a chance to watch them, watch them. Let us know
100%.
what you think. But unless you have anything else to say, I had one more question for you,
Okay.
just about the film festivals in general.
Okay.
Like I was kind of, again, this is my first time going to TIFF and any film festival, and I was expecting, like, everyone talks about the standing ovations.
Yeah.
Like this movie got a 20-minute standing ovation at Sundance. This one got 18 minutes in Vienna or whatever. I was waiting, like, after these movies, and people, like, the movie ends and it's just like a regular movie. People just like, get up and walk out. I was like, oh, I thought people were gonna do so. One, why do you think people don't necessarily do that here, or is that only for the specific premiere? And two, just in general, what are your thoughts on like a 20-minute standing ovation?
I think they're corny.
Yeah.
First of all, I've been to. Well, this is the thing I want to talk about. I briefly want to talk about my other experiences. Just the hype of the festival for people. I want people to come and go, and I also want you to come back.
Yes.
I'll first start off with the ovation thing. I've only been part of one. I didn't stand up for 20 minutes.
How long did you stand up?
It was like there was an ovation that happened for like, you know what another thing is too, where I think it comes from. Also, when the director and the writer and the actors are there, that was the one that I was there for. Where it was like maybe it was like 5 minutes. We all knew they were front row, so it's like I liked the movie, but I was like, well, it kind of feels weird if we don't do like a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was that. I'm sure it happens like because the first year I went, Steven Spielberg was there. He probably got like a 10, 20 minutes just because he's a legend.
Just because he's,
you know what
Spielberg,
I mean? Like we're in the presence of a legend. This guy's
Yeah.
like 80. Let's give it to him, whatever. And the movie was good too, but I feel like if they're there, I think that's when it usually happens the most.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Yeah, but I've only experienced it once because, actually no, there was another time I watched a documentary. You don't do it. I feel like documentaries you only need to do a standing O for.
I feel like you don't have to do a standing O
you
for
don't have to do a
any.
standing O
Like
for anything.
you're right. If the directors, like, if the people that worked on it are there and you want to show some love, sure. But like that's so weird.
That
Could
is
you imagine just standing for
long-ass
20
time.
minutes
It's a long
clapping?
ass time.
That's so weird.
It is very weird. I don't even like when people clap at non-festival movies.
Yeah.
I went to go fucking see When I saw Beetlejuice, the movie, and then people start clapping. I'm like, fucking Tim Burton's not here. Who the fuck are you clapping for?
Or like when the plane lands.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
Why are you clapping?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that one makes a little bit more sense to me. I don't think the pilot can hear you.
Maybe you can, but like
that one I understand a little bit more. Your life is on the line.
Yeah.
You're happy this guy got you to the ground safe. The fuck you're clapping for nobody involved with the movie is in that theater. So I don't know who you're clapping for.
I just think it's so pretentious. It's like
Yeah.
I was. That's another thing that I.
Did you clap after the movies? Did you clap after the movies?
No.
Okay, you're not allowed.
You would have.
Not allowed back.
No, you were right beside me.
Clap after the movies.
You were right beside me.
Yeah,
No, I
clap.
didn't clap.
I
No,
clap.
you didn't clap. Nobody clapped, dude. I feel like that's another. Yeah, that was another thing that I had expectations about. I was like, what was the pretentiousness
gonna be
like? Because I feel like in a lot of moviegoers, and that's one thing that we very specifically don't want to do with our podcast, that we don't want to take ourselves too seriously. We say all the time we're not experts. Like we're not pretending to, the juxtaposition of the
like in the
expressionism of these characters and exactly. Because like, dude, we're just watching movies, man. Like, sure, there's a time for place in that, and if you're hanging out with a group of people and you're all like that, and that's how you enjoy talking movies, go nuts. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. But like, people that like look down on people that are like, oh, you don't understand movies. This was great because of
Yeah.
this and that. And it's like, dude, these are movies that people like or don't like, and it's all subjective.
Yeah.
So like, if you think you're smarter than someone for seeing something in a movie or knowing how movies work or whatever, like if you don't work in the industry, you don't necessarily know all this stuff. I'm just going to have a good time
Yeah.
and watch a movie.
No, for sure.
You know, like if I go to a basketball game and like Greg Popovich is sitting next to me, and he's like, "No, you're an idiot. You don't understand. That was
Yeah.
he short rolled there instead of popping because
Yeah.
of blah 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 blah." It's like, dude, I'm just here to watch a ball
Yeah.
game.
No, it's true, 100%. And we're big basketball fans too, and we're not pretentious about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's no
like-
reason to be.
Like you get angry at stupid plays and shit like that in a game. Like you get something that happens angry that's stupid in a movie, but it's just like, yeah, you don't have to be a prick about it.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I'm not gonna talk ball with this guy. This guy doesn't. Oh, I mean, sometimes you don't want to talk ball with someone that they don't know ball, but it's not in a pretentious way.
yeah.
It's like this guy actually doesn't know basketball.
Yeah.
So it's like, this isn't gonna be a fun conversation.
But like in the sense of a movie, if a guy's like, "Oh, I really like this," and
Yeah.
you're like, "No, that was stupid."
Yeah,
It's like the dude liked it.
yeah,
It's like if he liked it, he liked it. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to then say no, it sucked because of
no,
you know
exactly.
that it's a rip off of the movie from 50 years ago. And It's
Yeah.
like, bro.
No, I like the challenge too. There's so many times when I'd go back and forth with someone and be like, you actually like that movie? I didn't like that. I'm like, really? I'm like, let's talk about it. Tell me what you didn't like about it.
Exactly.
And then like, I'm not flipping. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like, nah. Especially if I like the movie, I'll hear them out. I'll be like, I never thought about it like that. But like, if I like the movies, you're not gonna change me. Let's just talk about it. I'm not trying to change your opinion, but like, hear my perspective. You hear my perspective, and it's like we had that kind of with the Burning episode.
Yeah.
Like we were kind of going
Yeah.
back and forth on that. It wasn't like I love this movie, you hate this movie, but it was like different opinions. And it's like, okay, I didn't think of it that way. And it's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't notice really any specific pretentiousness, I would say,
No.
in my experience here. But like I said, it was kind of a limited experience because there wasn't all the other stuff going on. And because that was one thing that I was excited for, was like seeing all the other people around and talking to other people about the movies that I didn't see.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's like 12 movies going on at the same time. You can't watch them
Yeah.
all. So it'd be like, oh, what did you guys think of that one? Like if you're sitting next to a guy in a restaurant and they were just at a different movie, or,
Yeah.
you know, we were like just in whatever, just in the festival experience.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't get that. So I'm definitely looking forward to coming back and getting the full feel of it.
Yeah.
But like if even if you got a 20-minute standing ovation, wouldn't you feel weird?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do
No, it would be
for those 20 minutes?
That
You
is a good
stand
point.
there?
That is a good point. Yeah, I guess so. You take it in, you drink it in. I don't
It's
know.
weird.
But yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I guess that's a little bit on us too. Like, I guess we could have turned to the people beside us and asked us, or above
Yeah,
us
that's
and
a
be
good-
hey,
you're
what do you
right.
think? When we were in line for things, it's a little bit on us. Some
That's
people,
true.
there is like, okay, I'll get into this now, just with like my whole experience, because I feel like every movie. Well, to go on to what you said, we saw a movie at 9 o'clock. There's a lot of old people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that energy. And then the last one, the other one, it was the Saturday, and that was a good. I don't know about the crowd. I guess like the second movie, I don't know what kind of crowd that was. That probably was an older crowd too, to be honest. I think what you're experiencing, or what maybe you're thinking of, which you can get, and there is that, is when you get somewhat of like a medium to younger crowd kind
Right.
of thing. If
Yeah.
it's an older crowd, there's not much energy there. You know, they're fucking
True.
they're wheeling their way in. They got their butt pads, so their ass don't hurt.
Yeah, there was a woman with a butt pad.
Yeah, they're freaking.
That's crazy.
They're leaving the movie 2 times to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of that
You're
too.
not gonna get much energy from that kind of
Yeah,
crowd.
true.
You know what I mean? So that there's that. But to rewind back to my 2022 experience, I feel like a big part of the festival for me, which I didn't really even like kind of think it was a thing, because I just bought my tickets. And then as we went to them, I was like, oh shit, I didn't really was like this. Like the first ever movie I went to, this is why we have this right here. It's a movie Pearl. Some people might know this, some people might not. It's a really big slasher movie that's now turned into a trilogy. There's a first movie that came out was called X, and it was just about like the concept is actually hilarious. Kid Cudi's in the movie. It's about it's in the 70s, and they want to shoot a porno.
Okay.
So they're shooting a porno at just like this farm, whatever. And the old lady that that's her farm, whatever, is like crazy, and then she starts to try and kill him or whatever. But this movie is about that old lady in the 20s. And the thing I like about this series is like how it's just like each movie is like very much in this time. Like the first movie is the 70s, this is the 20s, and then the other one is the 80s. And this one was kind of cool too because when they go into the 20s, it was like when like I can't remember which sickness it was that was happening, but everyone was like wearing masks and stuff, and it kind of came out during COVID, so it was like a perfect
Okay.
like contrast of like
Yeah.
oh shit, 100 years ago, and like they were going through like a whole thing too. But the reason I like this movie so much is because again, experience atmosphere. I watched this in something called the Cinesphere. You ever heard what the Cinesphere is?
I don't think so.
So the Cinesphere is it was the first IMAX theater to like ever be built.
Oh
Like
shit.
Toronto, we are the ones that created IMAX. I don't
Damn.
know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah, we created IMAX, and the IMAX facility was created in 1971, and that was the first theater to have the whole 70 millimeter. So
Okay.
that's where people were watching. That's why at the Science Museum, people like IMAX. It's so big here. I didn't realize it until I went to the Cinesphere and I watched. They're like, yeah, this is the first ever IMAX theater, and like it was created in Toronto. I was like, oh, whoa, damn, really? I was like, damn,
Yeah.
Canadians did that. But unfortunately, so I saw it in it, and so it's like a giant circle, and it's like it's the biggest screen I've ever seen a movie in my life.
Damn.
And I watched this movie on it. So like, rather than not, if the movie was decent, suddenly now it's it's already like
It's
a 10 to
10
me.
times how good.
So that's why I like this movie so much. 'Cause I watched it on this massive fucking screen. Later on, I went back. I wanted to watch Dark Knight on it, but I missed the showing. I watched Blade Runner 2049 on it, and I was trying to watch another Denis Villeneuve movie. I was trying to watch Dune on it, but I couldn't go to the time. The stupid ass thing is that Doug Ford closed it in 2023, and it's been closed forever since. It's because they're doing construction on it, but they've been dragging their feet on. And they said they're going to start the more continuous construction in 2025. So
what are they doing to
they're
it?
taking
Making the screen even bigger?
No, they're taking the science center. Like he's doing like some bullshit. He's making like a spa there and everything, like for rich people and stuff. It's just like
Okay.
rich people shit. So it's like it sucks because you're taking this thing that was a great part of the city, and it's just like now you're taking it just to make like a high expense spa, and then now they're trying to add like the science center around it, so it becomes like thing. But it's like that's such a long for movie lovers, and that used to be part of TIFF.
Right.
So like cool movies would be in the Cinesphere, and you get that experience. So everyone would come in and be like, "Damn, I get to see a movie on the biggest. It's probably the biggest screen in the world. Probably, I can't imagine anything bigger than this. I mean, I shouldn't say that. You can easily make a screen bigger. It's just a big screen and a projection, but the biggest IMAX screen. This is the biggest IMAX screen. So it's just a shame that you take it for granted, man. I would have fucking went every single day. If I knew that thing was gonna be closed for 2 years, I would have went to a movie every single week, even if it was a movie I didn't want to see.
Yeah. I just got to see something on this.
See something on it. So it's been closed for like a year and a half now, and it hurts. Every day I check just to see. Not every day. But,
maybe next year.
But yeah,
maybe next year.
Maybe
it'll come back. It'll come back.
But yeah, no, it's just a great experience, and that's part of the things too. And then the first year I watched this documentary, we showed you the light box, like you got to see what the light box is. I watched the documentary there. That theater where there's an ovation, it was a movie called Le Chevalier. So it was about I probably butchered that name, but I apologize. But it was about this guy that was an African slave. It's not a slave movie, but he was a slave, but he was really good at playing the violin. So it's actually a real guy that happened like in France. This is during the whole revolution that happened in France and everything. Okay. And it's a classic thing. You see this in like American movies too, or it's happened in real life where it's just like, oh yeah, everyone's a slave. Black people are less. Oh, but that dude's really good at something. He's really good at playing the violin. So he's cool. He's cool.
Yeah,
so he just played music for them. Everyone respected him because he was that. But still, at the end of the day, they're kind of like, well, we don't want you like in our bathrooms. But you can play music for us. We'll clap for you, whatever. But then after you're done playing music, you can kind of go back. They gave him in the movie. I don't want to spoil it. And again, this is one of those things too, where this was in like a theater. I'm gonna add these in the thing for the people watching the podcast, or if you want to watch the pod, this was the theater it was in. So like they turned that whole thing into a movie thing. So like imagine watching a movie in an atmosphere like that. So like that's another thing too, where like that's why I was like, when you said that we got it, it's not terrible that we saw it in like the Scotia theaters, but I'm like, seeing a Scotia theater or seeing it in something like this. You know what I mean? Like that's another aspect of like this experience that you get from watching.
The only thing I've done similar to that would be I watched, it was like Harry Potter, but in like symphony.
Oh, okay.
So it's like live music. Yeah. So you're in a theater like that.
Yeah.
And there's an orchestra on stage.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're playing the live music as the movie's playing.
How was
so
that?
It was really cool.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, it's weird. It kind of felt not much different
Okay. Yeah.
than watching a regular movie and just having the music play through the
Yeah.
speakers.
Mm,
But I don't know, just like you say, the atmosphere
mm,
just makes it feel a little bit different, and
yeah.
it's cool.
It makes it feel, it makes it feel different. And the another one we went to, there was what was the theater? The Roy Thompson Hall. That's where I saw the Fablemans. I don't know if you even heard of the Fablemans.
It sounds familiar.
So that was the one I was talking about with Spielberg. So
Okay.
he made a movie about a Jewish kid that grew up during, I think it was like the 40s or something. And it's kind of cool because he doesn't specifically say it's him as a kid growing up in the States, but it basically is, because
Yeah.
so much of the elements are him. And the movie's actually really funny too. The movie, I feel like, didn't get much love, and not because people, like critics, were tearing it apart. People said the movie was bad. I just think it's just a drama movie about like a Jewish kid, and it's kind of funny, and it's kind of like in the vein of like, oh, we're watching Avengers movie, like these big blockbuster movies. It just doesn't, and I don't know, I just didn't say his movie doesn't hold the same weight. It holds weight in the, I guess, in the movie fans. Like if
Right.
everyone that knew, like everybody that's a movie person knew that still Spielberg dropped that movie.
Yeah.
But it's not like you weren't seeing Fableman commercials like you're seeing like when a Top Gun's coming out,
Yeah.
or like when
Deadpool and
Deadpool,
Wolverine.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not seeing it on buses
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
between basketball games. You know what I mean? It's like he's just more chill with it. He's like, this movie's coming out. It was at all the festivals. Maybe you saw a couple posters, promotions on like maybe Letterboxd or IMDb or whatever, and then you watch. It's like, yeah, it was a really good movie. Like I really liked it, but it wasn't like plaster. But I saw that again. I saw that in the theater too, and I was like, oh man, this is freaking great.
I feel like there's a difference between like what kind of the intention of the movie.
Yeah.
Like a Deadpool and Wolverine or Top Gun or
Yeah.
like Inside Out or whatever.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get the general masses to come watch
Yeah.
your movie. So you're just trying to get as many eyeballs
Exactly.
on your product as possible
Yeah.
and trying to get it to people to get interest in it.
Yeah.
If this is a movie that's made for movie fans,
Yeah.
just plastering all over buses and stuff like that, which is super expensive,
Yeah.
doesn't change much.
No.
When you can just release it in festivals and do it more in the film space,
Yeah.
then it's reaching the people that you want it to reach.
Exactly. No, for
And you
sure.
don't have to do anything
No.
more than that.
No, 100%. And it's just like, yeah, I just liked. I thought the movie's good. Anyone go check out the Fablemans. I don't know. I think it's on Crave or Max or whatever you got, but it's a really good movie. It's funny.
Okay.
It's actually pretty funny. And yeah, so I think that's a big part of it too. And then the last thing, I didn't the March Madness. I gotta call it March Madness again. The
Midnight
Midnight
Madness?
Madness.
That sounds cool. Like
It's
I've
fucking-
I've heard of it,
Yeah.
but again, like I didn't do it this time.
Yeah.
This is my only time, so I never experienced it. I don't even know exactly how it works.
Yeah.
So, but it interests me.
I think the first time I went, I was just so in awe from like, man, I get to watch these movies in like these cool arenas or whatever. I got to see a Q&A. Like when I watched like that movie about the violinist, like the actors were there and stuff. And I was like, oh, it was cool. Samara Weaving, so some people know who she is. She was there and I was like, oh shit. Like, I was like, okay, she's there. Like, cause everyone else I didn't really know, but like she was actually like a known actor that's been in like some like, I don't want to say like huge movies, but like movies that I've seen where it's like, oh, should I actually know that actor? It's kind of crazy that she's like right there.
Yeah.
People were asking her questions. Like it's kind of like surreal. And but yeah, there's that. And then for the March Madness,
Midnight Madness.
Yeah,
You get excited. March Madness is lit. So
March Madness is lit.
I love March
is lit.
Madness.
But the Midnight Madness is, I don't know. I haven't experienced everything, which is good because again, I want to keep experiencing different things as I keep going. But that was one of the most wild experiences. It's tough because again, you're there at fucking midnight.
Yeah.
It worked out for me because I was like the days I didn't work or it's like a Friday, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay up to midnight, watch this. You gotta stay energized. You're drinking a coffee late and everything.
Right.
So
Take a
the
nap
energy
beforehand.
there. It doesn't have to be a March because the energy could be just big for just like maybe a big movie. Everyone's excited to see the premiere of a movie or whatever, and the people get excited for those. But the Midnight Madness energy is different than any other energy. Like it's like you get there, and I assume it's probably mostly a young crowd.
I was just about to say, I was
it's
like,
a
because
pretty-
we were talking about that earlier, right? Like
Yeah.
with an older crowd, the energy's not necessarily there.
Yeah.
This is definitely a younger.
Yeah.
It's got to be a younger.
It's
crowd.
a younger crowd. The two movies. Shout out these two movies. There's a movie called Naga, which is about like this. It's a Saudi Arabian movie, which is why I want to see because I was like, what is a Saudi Arabian movie? So I was like, let me just go see what this is. And the movie, I'll say this. I always tell people take it with a grain of salt because this movie is very weird. It's very experimental. It's a love-hate movie. It's either you love this movie or you hate this movie. It's on Netflix. Give it a chance if you want to watch it. I just liked it because it was so It's definitely not a movie that I'm like, this is in my top 10 or something like that. But it was just so different because again, it's a Saudi Arabian movie. We're talking about this is the Korean thing. It's just so different than what I've seen. There's a couple of camera choices that I didn't like. It was maybe a little dizzy when the way they were moving the camera and stuff. But it was just a young director, the first time directing a movie, trying stuff. But it was funny. And then another movie I watched was Sleep, which is about shout out to the dude. It was the rich. It's the dad from Parasite, like the rich one.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out him. He passed. He's passed away now. So RIP to him. I don't know where that movie is now. It's a South Korean movie, so it might be hard to find. I don't know what streaming service you can find on there. You can find it on the internet. But the movie's called Sleep. It's like a thriller about a husband who has trouble sleeping, and he starts acting weird in his sleep. Is to get on like that's kind of the premise of the movie. So the wife's kind of constantly figure out like what's happening to him. I wouldn't even say it's like horror. It's more of like thriller because it's like what's happening to him. Like sometimes she wakes up and like he's doing weird things. It's like a little bit of a mystery like that. It's like what's happening to him. Is this like a supernatural thing? Is this like a actual like a science thing? So like the whole time you're kind of like what's going on with him. So it's a cool like thriller in that sense. And just to go back to the energy.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, my question was like, because you said this is one of the coolest experiences,
Yeah.
like seeing those movies. But what made it so cool?
So the energy is like when you first get there, it's just like there's kind of like there's like a hum, like everyone's just kind of talking, like maybe it's like a little bit of like people are talking to each other, like, oh, what movies did you see? Did you see this?
Yeah.
Like so there's a little more of that, and then it's like because you saw how like the commercials are kind of jokes, right? Too,
Right.
and you saw that all the commercials are always the same.
Yeah.
So people turn it into a game. It's almost almost know that like thing like when people go on buses and they start like singing songs and stuff like that.
Right.
So when certain commercials come on, like there was this commercial with Zendaya and Anne Hathaway that come on, and every time it came on, everyone would start clapping. There's like a specific like cadence of clapping every time the commercial came on. Every time there's a different commercial come on, people start doing different chants and stuff.
That's
like,
awesome.
Like a game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And after the first time, I was like, we do this every single time, and then we did it the second time too. And I was like, this is so lit. Everyone's just fucking, and it's like everyone's respectful too. Where it's just like when the Sleep movie came out, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was just like everything was just in Korean at first. So no one knew what the words were until the movie started, obviously. Then they started giving you subtitles. But it was just like you know how they have like this is directed by
right.
I guess
all that's in Korean
for all that stuff. And then like an English world came up where it just said Steve, and I was like, yo, Steve, shout out Steve. And I was like, yo, Steve. And then like later on it
You
kept
said
going.
that?
No, everyone started
Oh,
doing
that's
that.
amazing.
He screamed that. He's like, yo, shout out Steve. And
That's amazing.
And then and then it said like it kept going. And one dude was like, "Oh, that's true. That's true." And then Steve came up again and was like, "Yo, Steve." And then even when the movie ended, it showed like produced by like Steve. Everyone was like, "Steve."
Okay.
Energy is just like the energy is just up. Everyone's just so like.
That's awesome. You feel like you're part of like it's a cool way to watch a movie. Like you feel like you're part of this group and you're all watching it together. I mean, you are, but like when you just go to a regular movie theater,
like
it's you and your date or you and your friend or whatever, and you're just that's it.
But that's that cool. Energy is just so like it's just like it like wakes you up too. Like you're there at midnight, maybe you had your coffee to keep yourself up, but like you're involved. Like oh, we're doing things, we're doing chants, or whatever. Like this is fun, and it's just like, but everyone's hella respectful. As soon as the movie starts, everyone's quiet. Like no one's talking during the movie because like everyone we're there to see the movie, right? We're film fans, so it's just like. That energy was just so fun. That's why I was disappointed. Where I was like, "Oh man, we're not going to March Madness." She's like, "Cause I told her I was like, I couldn't get Conclave into Harvard," and she's like, "Did you get a March Madness?" I was like, "No, I couldn't go." And they're like, "Ah, oh yeah, the R thing too." When there was like, "Oh, don't record this piracy," everyone just goes R. Like, pirates. It's just
okay,
like,
so a couple notes then for next time. First week, and a Midnight Madness.
Yeah, you got to get one Midnight Madness in. This is for anybody. If you would just try to get a Midnight Madness, the easiest for you is probably maybe try to get a Friday one if you're working wherever, because it's be hard. Like, maybe you get the time off. Yeah. Opening weekend is cool. You get the sign and there's stuff on the street too.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so people will be like, and movie related, not a dude trying to ask you about your life. Movie related stuff on. I
don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm about to miss my movie.
Yeah, seriously, man.
But there's that. What else is there? I think that's. Well, I've never seen the shorts, so I don't know what the shorts thing is like. I don't know. There's just so much. And even if you've done all the things, you just keep doing it.
Yeah, and every time you go, movies. Yeah, it'll be new movies and different people that are going. Like if you talk to, that's what I mean. Like it didn't feel like a festival.
Yeah,
like when I went and because it's missing all that stuff, like all the stuff that I was excited about. Like you said, stuff in the street, like movie related, like
Yeah.
people pop up their tent and maybe they're selling merch or
Yeah,
something, or like all that stuff
Oh, for
that you
sure.
just walk through and you're talking to people, and like none of that stuff was there.
No.
And I was like, the festival's not over.
No.
Like
Still today.
this is still, yeah, this is still well within the weeks, like the dates of the
Yeah.
festival. So I don't know why they took all this stuff away. Like I
Yeah.
guess it dies down, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So good to know that, you know, next time we'll come back earlier so I can experience all that
Yeah.
stuff that I really missed out on this time.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was cool to still see 2 movies that I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Yeah.
And to see them early.
Yeah.
It's still cool.
No, for sure.
But I feel like there was still a lot that I missed out on.
Yeah. Which again, it's just your first time. So
Yeah.
You're dipping your toe. So you'll get to, as you keep going. And hey, we're talking about stuff on the street. Maybe this time next year we'll be on the street.
Yeah,
and I think
cool.
that would honestly be really fun too. If we had our own like little spot, and it's just like whatever we do, either way, it's just gonna be. I mean, I'm sure we'll get some weirdos. I acknowledge you weirdos. You can still come talk to us. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, but there'll be cool people too. Like you come chat with us, talk. We'll talk about movies. I don't know what we'll be doing. We'll try to get something going. But
Yeah,
it'll
I mean,
just be fun.
yeah.
Just interact with people. We love movies. You love movies.
Just talk about it. Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of the podcast,
Yeah,
right? And like
exactly.
we'll have guests on, like continue to have guests on, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing. We like movies, they like movies, and we just talk
Yeah.
about it. And I mean, yeah, we'll have something, you know, maybe we'll do like some social media stuff. We'll do
Yeah.
like trivia or
Oh,
something.
exactly. That's
like,
what I was thinking. Just like cool
Yeah.
little things like that. Just fun stuff. Maybe we'll have merch by then or something. I don't know, giveaways. Who knows? Who knows? It's a whole year from now.
Exactly.
A lot can happen in a whole year. So it's exciting. I'm excited for you to experience more of the festival. I'm excited for me to experience more of the
Yeah,
festival
of course.
myself too. It's just be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go to Cannes Festival down the road.
That'd be sick.
That would be sick.
That'd be
You gotta
freaking
dress
sick.
up for those though. That's
Oh,
the
yeah?
only difference. Yeah,
That's
Some of
okay.
the premiere. Yeah, no,
I'll
it
get
is
swagged
okay.
out.
Yeah, no, it's true.
See, and even like seeing celebrities, like,
yeah, that's
you
true.
know, that's another thing that I didn't see
Yeah.
nobody. So
That's
like
another experience too.
That's what I mean. That's another
Yeah.
part of the experience that
That's
I didn't
true.
get. But like at Cannes, I'm sure that, you know, there's tons of celebrities all around, and that's a different country.
That's true.
So just the traveling aspect would be really cool too. Who knows?
That's true. You know, that's another thing too. Like I guess I didn't think about it because for the Steven Spielberg one, people dressed up for that. I didn't dress up though. Me and Eloise, like when we showed up, we're like, oh, I guess we didn't get the memo. It was not
Did
mandatory.
you feel like underdressed?
Yeah, but we looked young because there's a lot of people that were dressed up looked like they were older. So I was like, okay, but yeah, there definitely is a thing. I think maybe for the premieres, you probably have to dress up. They don't have no dress code, but I think people, if it's like a big movie, it's like everyone, like we know people are gonna dress up for this. You kind of have the choice, but it's like it's just like a cool thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it feel like it's like a
more. It makes it feel more special.
I guess. Yeah, it does make it more special. We take pics or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you said,
Word of event.
when the director and the people are there too, maybe they'll ask you a question. Oh, this guy's all looking dapper.
Yeah.
Versus like maybe some bum in a heat.
Hey, watch the Film Room podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all I have really to go off of, like my other experiences. I'll just say again, go check out. I'll give shout outs to those movies.
William Tell.
Watch William Tell. Watch The Quiet Ones. Watch Sleep. Watch. Get your pen and paper out, yo. Go watch Sleep.
Oh, he's
Go
got a
watch
whole list for you.
Go watch Naga. Go watch The Fablemans. And we watched like a 4-hour documentary. It was really good. I don't know if you have the stomach to watch. It was on food. It was good. I forget what it was called though. But yeah,
Great plug.
yeah, great plug.
All right, well, I guess that's it for us then. This was a little bit different. Let us know what you thought. If you liked it, if we should do more stuff kind of like this, let us know. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow, subscribe, all that stuff on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at the Film Room Pod. Leave a review. And I don't know. Did you think of?
I thought I did think of
Okay,
something.
nice.
I did. No spoilers.
I will see you guys next week.
But if you were listening to this podcast, whether you're a girl or a guy, bend the knee.
Bend
for no man.